Hi everyone. This is a video dedicated to, I'm actually addressing Kyle Kulinsky the from Secular Talk, which is a radio podcast, progressive, independent, and also a YouTube channel. Um, and I'm a fan. I'm not actually subscribed because I don't subscribe to everything because I'm simultaneously doing this pagan music project, so I have to subscribe to a lot of music channels. So sometimes I'm a fan of things that I'm not actually subscribed to because I don't want notifications. There's a limit to how much each person can receive notifications and still kind of give them their due attention. Anyway, yesterday there was a video that came out from Kyle Kulinsky. Uh, I've watched him a couple of times. I think he's one of the ones that I like better from the progressive news outlets that I've seen. I know that he's kind of, I don't know, maybe a little less radical than I would say Kim Iverson or the new progressive voice, not to be confused with the progressive voice. Anyway, I'm not going to do a whole breakdown of all the channels for you. That can be another video. But I have a little bit of a crush on Kyle Kulinsky because he is so gorgeous and so smart. And, but you know, I also have a little bit of a crush on Ben Shapiro, so it really doesn't mean very much. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the fact that this is a guy who has gone on, I think Fox, but definitely CNN. I'm going to be honest with you, I confuse them because I see them both as extremely nasty channels. I don't think that they are honorable news outlets, either of them, actually. So, without getting into, but I'm not going to get into all that partisanship. I have seen Kyle Kulinsky debate conservatives with a cool and collected mind, and he is very good at it. Very clever, very witty, very charming, and very on point. And I saw one incident where he debated and he talked about it afterward. And I'm sorry, I thought that what he described was somewhat akin to a kind of mystical epiphany because he was on that show and he had to stop and take a breather when the guy he was debating with, who was this kind of, I'm sorry, it looked like some kind of red-faced lunatic, but I don't know, he was a right-winger. Not that all right-wingers are like that, but in this particular case, he looked the part. And he said something kind of ridiculous, and then Kyle could have argued on the face of it, but he took a pause, and then he said something really clever, and then he kind of said afterward that he didn't quite know where the inspiration came from. Anyway, you can already see where I'm going with this. So yesterday he came out with a video about Marianne Williamson and her tweet about the Hurricane Dorian. And I don't watch all his videos because, as I said, I'm not subscribed, but I have seen a lot, and I don't think I've ever seen him quite so undone. He was kind of spluttering on his channel with indignation about the notion that mind can affect matter, which he says is dangerous. And that if she says that in a public, what he's saying is that if she says that as a public voice, that people may interpret it, I don't know what people necessarily, assumingly kind of presumably quite stupid, crazy people, but people may interpret that they can stand in the path of a hurricane and turn it aside with their minds. And he did admit that he didn't think that she meant it that way, but this kind of thinking is very dangerous. And went on to say that we know that the power of the mind cannot affect matter. Now look, he is on a show called Secular Talk. So the premise of his platform is already secular. Now, I question what we know because what I have seen, and I don't have a college degree, and you should probably know that, and I read tarot, and I meditate, and I practice various forms of witchcraft, so I am probably, that already debunks me in a lot of Kyle Kulinsky's viewers' minds, but I like it. I think he's mystical. When I watch him, maybe it's just the crush talking, but I think I don't know, I would vote for him if he were running for some office. I would be like, yeah, him, he's the guy. I like him. I like his vibe. My intuition says he's good people. I question what we know, given that the history of the world is that human beings have, at various stages throughout history, according to religion, according to science, according to whatever the most acclaimed school of thought is in its time or place, has declared something to be right and it is wrong. Usually by the next decade or century, it has been all debunked. And I mean, certain things not, like, it was found that the earth was round, and that seems to be true. However, it was also found at certain times that the atom was the smallest particle, and not so much. And electric shock therapy was the height of mental health treatment at one time, not that long ago. And as to the effect of mind, power on matter, that seems to be developing every day. As far as I can tell, I'm constantly hearing scientists are now saying mind can do this and mind can do that, and we don't know what mind can do. So I put to Mr. Kulinsky that his suggestion that we know something is dangerous, because I don't think we do. And I think my understanding of the scientific approach, secular approach to knowledge, is that you're always questioning. And yes, you are drawing conclusions based on those questions, but you're not going around saying, we know this, and this is the only truth that can ever be, because the information is always changing and knowledge is always developing. And honestly, I think it always will be. I think that, there's no reason to think that we're going to reach some plateau of knowledge where that's going to be it, because it never has been up until now. So I have not worded that as secularly as I wanted to, but to impress Mr. Kyle Kulinsky. However, oh yes, interestingly enough, the effect of mind on matter seems to be most notable when dealing with the element of water, interestingly enough. They have those water crystal things, and then, prayers make them look different. I don't know. This is terrible debunkery. But my main point is that be careful about throwing the word dangerous around when you may be declaring something yourself that is dangerous. And I think at a certain point you have to, there's a balance between freedom of speech and just, Steven Crowder was not exercising his freedom of speech by saying that Carlos Maza sucks and making fun of his accent. That's just him being a dick, because he's not saying anything. But when Marianne Williamson goes on Twitter, which is also, by the way, not a place to dictate policy, but and we as the viewers should know that Twitter is not policy. Like, Twitter is Twitter. But her saying that it would be nice if we all turned our attention to the storm and picture it turning away from land, and that this is not wacky, is an expression of freedom of speech. And I also think that people are responsible for how they take that. Like, if someone then takes that and then goes and stands in the way of a hurricane and tries to force it aside with their mind, that's a dumbass person. I'm sorry. And I hold them responsible for taking that decision based on that tweet. So that's my opinion about it. Anyway, I would like, Kyle, you to have Marianne Williamson on your show, because I think that you are the most leading voice of the secular left, the over-secularized left, which I noticed he objected to that term, which was, I don't know, I think he's really charming, and I would love to see her on his show, and I would encourage him to not be too indignant. But I realized that he has some strong feelings about this. Anyway, look, I realized that this is a reaction to the witch trials and the religious, the overreach of religion, which has historically been a thing, and it continues to be a thing today. But I do not believe that it is a function of faith that makes people fanatical, especially when I see people in Twitter calling Marianne Williamson an anti-vaxxer, the way that people would once say, she's a witch, the milk soured. I think that anyone can become fanatical if they feel like it, pretty much, based on opinion and their egos. I don't think that's just a function of religion, and I don't think that it's a symptom necessarily of religion. I think that religion offers the most scope for that kind of idiocy. But it's just as possible to do it with science, and to do it with, as we're seeing these days, nobody wants to question Big Pharma because they're afraid that they'll be called anti-science. So anyway, I'm sorry, the light is going on me. I thought I had more light than this. I am going to leave this there. Bye.